Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the Meridian Room in the Park Plaza Hotel in New York City, we bring you the music of Ramon Raquello and his orchestra.
75 years after the CBS radio production of The War of the Worlds fooled millions of Americans into thinking a Martian invasion of New Jersey was underway, they're at it again in Grover's Mill, the town where the aliens were said to have landed.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Actor Orson Welles and his Mercury Theatre on the Air company reeled in their unsuspecting audience with a mixture of dance band music and fake news bulletins.
What sounded like actual news cutaways from music programming fooled people at that time.
It was 1938. War was brewing in Europe. The US was on edge. What would you think if you heard this coming out of your old-time steam radio?
A bulletin is handed me. Martian cylinders are falling all over the country. One outside of Buffalo, one in Chicago, St. Louis.
This was a different era. You have the dad and the mum and the boy listening to the radio, absolutely terrified of Orson Welles' broadcast. Welles himself said it was the radio equivalent of putting a white sheet over your body, jumping out from behind a bush and going, boo! The next day, the New York Post screamed, "Radio war panic brings inquiry." Phone lines to the authorities were jammed.
I think there was something like over 2,000 phone calls to the Trenton police within 3 hours. People were using party lines back then as well. It wasn't like today where everybody had cell phones, so it was a big deal.
Frank Gambatese and his wife Mickey run the Grover's Mill coffee shop, which is peppered with War of the Worlds memorabilia, and they host War of the Worlds events regularly. One question they're asked a lot is, could it happen again today, in the digital age?
Absolutely, in a heartbeat, I believe it could. Because there's a lot of fear, a lot of terror, a lot of things that scare us. If it was put into something modern today, that online, Facebook.
Grover's Mill was scared, the whole country was scared.
It's large as a bear, and it glistens like wet leather, but face it, ladies and gentlemen, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. It's so awful.
The people of Grover's Mill fell for it 75 years ago. Today, they simply revel in it. John Terrett, Al Jazeera, Grover's Mill, New Jersey.